that enough light for y'all? Or do we need one more? Yep, that's also a light right there. That's too bright. Hello everyone, this is Nakamura. Today we're going to be debunking, as per the description. There, 13-year-old invents free energy, Nikola Tesla. As if the guy had something to do with that. Let's get started.
This is pretty cool. A real-life Dexter's Laboratory. Yeah, they say it. A whiz kid with a very powerful idea. Max Loughan shares his story in tonight's Someone to Know.
Do you think a 13-year-old could change the world? Well, this one might change your mind. Dressed in his lab coat,
I wear this fairly often.
Max Loughan sits in his parents' old boiler room, converted into a lab.
A boiler room converted into a lab. Makes me less likely to try. Now, I should have disclosed this at the start. I want no one to harass this kid, okay? Let him do whatever he wants. I'm just here to shine light. No pun intended.
I'm in a boiler room right now.
And he ponders the future often.
The future that I imagine is the future, frankly, that we all imagine.
He wants to make the world a better place. And to do that, you need one single thing.
If you got energy, you got power, you have everything.
So to solve this problem, a few months ago, Max took the matter into his own hands and created this electromagnetic harvester out of a coffee can, some wire, 2 coils, and a spoon.
This cost me $14.
The spoon. You're telling me this can solve world crisis? I never knew that. We'll see.
The harvester conducts radio waves, thermal...
I mean, aluminum, copper, almost every metal conducts thermal and electrical stuff.
and static energy and turns it into electricity.
This wire takes the energy from the air. Down below here, we turn it from AC into DC.
So
you take energy from the air and you rectify it AC to DC. There's just a few problems with that. First of all, rectifiers are made out of diodes. And just like a diode, they have a forward bias minimum voltage. In this case, 0.7 volts. Since there's two of them at a time, 1.4 volts. Last time I took a spoon up in the air, want to know what voltage I got? Not even 100 millivolts. So punch in the numbers and tell me if that's possible. Just keep watching.
take the device outside and wrap up Max's brother into a string of LED lights.
Bing, bing.
Let's count the amount of LEDs that's in there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. There's 20, let's assume 25. Let's assume they're equal. 25 plus 25, that's 50. 50, okay, so that's 100. There's around 250 LEDs. Let's assume it's equal, so that's around 300 LEDs. Assuming they're in parallel, you would still need a 3.7 volts by the time of current. Assuming they're in series, yeah, punching the numbers in that one. That should be a ton of current, obviously. And I highly doubt his magic bucket can provide that much.
A $14 invention was able to do that. So imagine the same harvester on a scale 20 times larger.
That's called the radio receiver.
I'm very proud
Max's family is thrilled with what he's accomplished, and nobody is more impressed than his twin brother, Jack.
Oh, is he?
creating free energy, a device that he made in his lab out of 15 bucks, which is pretty amazing. As cheesy as this sounds,
I mean, it is cheesy.
from day one on this planet, I knew that I was put on here for a reason, and that reason is to invent, to bring the future.
I mean, to bring the future. Technically, you brought the past.
Max has always admired Albert Einstein and inventor Nikola Tesla.
Einstein and Nikola Tesla, what does special relativity and induction got to do with this? Well, it has a bit to do with induction.
They taught him a little bit more than just science.
Make the world a better place, to give the world what it doesn't have.
Well, you can't really wish the world a good place if what you do is make fake stuff. I'm calling this fake for a reason. I'll explain it later after the video ends.
So that it doesn't have to struggle in basic things like energy.
Max isn't in it for the money or the recognition.
He's probably in it for the money or recognition. Recognition, I bet.
My true goal is to help, to invent a future where people can be happy.
I mean, after this one, I will share my opinion after the second video. This one's the first.
People can be safe and sound.
That's one kid with a whole lot of power.
And believe it or not, Max is already taking online college
Oh,
courses.
so I was
from
zoomed in this
MIT,
entire
where
time.
He hopes to attend full time.
I was zoomed in this entire time.
To invent, to bring goal.
Oh yeah, so I was zoomed in this entire time. It's fine.
People can be safe and sound.
That's one kid with a whole lot of power.
And believe it or not, Max is already taking online college courses from MIT, where he hopes to attend full time in a few more years.
Not sponsored. Wrong video, by the way. Second video, world's smartest kid. We'll see about that.
A story about him. And he had also just invented.
Sorry. Nexus. This is the global summit, huh? July 20. Hey, guess whose birthday is that?
100 years ago, there was a gentleman named Nikola Tesla. And he started creating a tower on Long Island to try to figure out how to harvest wireless electricity.
Okay, correction there. Nikola Tesla did not build the Wardenclyffe Tower in Long Island, New York to extract free energy. He did it to do the impossible, and not the fantasy one. I'm talking about the dumb one, inverse square law type of thing. Because he made that tower to try to transmit wireless energy. That's what the purpose of the Wardenclyffe Tower was. He was trying to use it to transmit energy, but ultimately failed because you know, it later became the Tesla coil, though.
A couple months ago, my brother sends me this viral YouTube video, and I encounter this guy named Max Loughan.
Max Loughan, no, that's the previous kid.
Max is 13 years old in this video.
13 years old, just actually, 2016 he was 13. In 2026, wait, what? He's 23 now.
And news agency had just done a job on him.
Yeah.
Had just done a story about him. And he had also just invented a new kind of wireless energy harvester.
Oh, did he? Let's see about that.
I got on the phone with Max and realized that I'm speaking to one of the great scientific minds of our future and instructors. A scientific instructor at the age of 13, our youngest ever Nexus presenter. Welcome, Max Loughan.
Now there's Max.
How many of you, when you were working on a difficult project, just got up out of bed when you needed sleep to go do something to settle your mind?
Me always.
If I'm in the right place, I'm guessing we all have.
Yeah.
I remember being told to go to bed, but was too busy working on an impossible problem.
Same.
There it is. Impossible. I can't deal with that term, or at least my relationship to it. I can't stand being told that something cannot be done. Or more accurately, I can't sleep for it. Anyway, I was working on an impossible quantum physics problem, and unfortunately, I was commanded to go to sleep. Except I couldn't. I was in the mode. I was on the brink of solving a problem that I was trying to crack for weeks. So I pretended to go to sleep, like all of us have when we were children, and waited for everyone else to. And then I got up and ran straight to my lab. I worked all night in the morning, and then, well, it hit me.
What hit you? Popularity?
I fixed my mistakes and solved my problem. There it is. I solved an impossible problem.
Well, depending on what impossible problem, well, if the problem is within your scope, someone else has already solved it. The world's a big place.
Impossible? I think not. The problem was solved. So was it really impossible in the first place? Most people have a relationship with the term.
Well, he said it's impossible, then said it wasn't impossible. I'm not sure what he's trying to say.
Impossible. Where they say it can't be done ever. But maybe we need to change that. We need to redefine the impossible.
Unless it violates some important laws and statutes of physics.
Maybe nothing is impossible. Just not how to be done yet. Hello everybody. My name is Max Loughan.
Welcome, Max Loughan.
As you heard. So what's the meaning of all this? Why am I up here? Why is a scrawny 13-year-old up here on stage? Hopefully this will all be clear by the end of all this. By the way, before I start this, remember I am just a teenager. My brain is still developing, and my neural synapses are.
Well, hopefully that you're 22, you've come to realize that you've made a mistake.
Like crazy. And to be honest, most of them are missing their intended target. So if I stutter or string together a set of words that make no sense or maybe fall down on my face or something, just cut me a little slack. So here we go. I was 7 years old.
Started when 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's 6. Wait, what? Wait. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 7? I don't get it. Around 6 or 7. I don't endorse in that meme. I also don't hate it. I also don't encourage you do it. I don't say you shouldn't do it. I just want to let you know that.
Thank you.
Even he agrees.
So I was 7 years old when I watched the Back to the Future trilogy for the first time. I got a visual representation of what people thought the future would be like. And I know this already. I'm guessing a lot of people here are Back to the Future fans. Am I right?
What the hell is that?
Okay, so in this movie trilogy, I got a visual representation of what people thought the future would be like. And what I thought the future would be like is, frankly, what the movie described it to be. Amazing. Well, as you can imagine, 2015 just came and went. And still no hoverboards. Yeah. And the closest thing we have today is a balancing Segway that catches on fire and blows up. Definitely not fair.
Is he talking about the hoverboards incident where they always blew up?
We were all hoping we could zip around in flying cars, but instead we have electric cars.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, have been around since 1828.
That's true. Electric vehicles came before gas-powered. Instead of using lithium batteries, those were practically abysmal in the 1820s, they had to use the big heavy lead-acid batteries. Dude.
So, not new at all.
Yeah. Well, technically the concept of EV using lithium is fairly new, but the lead acid's pretty old-fashioned.
So what's the problem here?
We know why.
Are we not creative enough?
I don't know. I'd say I'm not creative.
Maybe we're not trying hard enough.
That's true.
Unfortunately, most of us were all just waiting. That's it. That's our big problem.
What?
We were waiting. Instead of reaching for that future and trying to create it, it seems that we're waiting for it to be served to us on a silver platter. Well, sorry, that's not good enough for me. So throughout my life, I spent every day I could trying to invent the future that we all imagined. I looked at many of the problems we have today in this world, designed, made, tested, all the solutions I could come up with. In my boiler turned laboratory. Just say I have limited resources. Instead of playing video games and watching TV, I was inventing new technology that I believe could change people's lives.
Inventing new technology? What does that mean?
Just give you an idea of how my undeveloped brain works. At five and a half, I was solving complex algebraic equations in math class.
That's...
Learning to add and subtract. Teacher
Nah.
At age first, which led me to at the age of 7, hacking school computers that gave kids access to games that were banned for no reason, like Pac-Man.
They're banned for a reason.
Right. At the age of 8, I concocted my first conductive liquid explosive and had finished.
You what? Hold on, wait. Technical difficulties. My keyboard's dying now. Let me just reconnect real quick, okay? Won't take long. Keyboard was just kidding. Technical difficulty. Which is 525 3 5 2 5. There. Are we back in business?
Reading my 5th big physics book. At the age of...
Back to what the kid said when he made an explosive.
What?
At the age of 9, I set up a small business at school where kids brought me their broken technology and I fixed it for them. When I was 10, I finished my first of 3 online MIT courses on robotics and quantum physics. And then when I was 11, I built my first hydrofluorocarbon rocket.
Hydrofluorocarbon. Given the prefix hydro, the infix fluoro, and the suffix
engine and smart humanoid robot that was a really good fighter, by the way. And I also invented a new type of neurocranial transmitter that could detect emotions, as a matter of fact. Scares me a little bit. Finally, at 12, I began to deeply study quantum physics and started my company, Loughan Labs, LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. I mean, you know, because I actually couldn't get any lawsuits at my age.
The world's a big place.
Also, I went to my first school dance. Turns out girls my age don't fancy nerdy physicists and inventors. Now I know. My bad. Now, here I am at 13, one of the youngest technology company CEOs in history, I'm told, working on a machine that will monitor quantum mechanics with an eye on someday building a quantum computer when I get my hands on the necessary materials, of course. Also, if you're any of the 7 million viewers that have seen me on social media, you know that I have invented a device that extracts electromagnetic energy from all around us and transfers it into electric.
I mean, isn't that just called an antenna?
You have a piece of wire in the air, and if you tuned right, it will collect some noise and it converts it to that's just.
And that also got the attention of Anonymous, who posted, "We should clone this kid on their Facebook page." I'm a little bit paranoid from it. Too much for a shy 13-year-old such as myself to handle, I fear. So as you can imagine, I obviously didn't have many friends.
Wonder why.
How else would I have all this time? But hopefully that'll change now that I'm here at Nexus. But really, start if you wish to change somebody's life. You can make an endless list of gizmos and gadgets. But when can you really impact somebody's life? I mean, so many problems, and even more solutions to each one. I don't even know where to begin. Well, actually, I do. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Every problem has a bigger source problem behind it, and ultimately, I found that all of our modern technologies and electronics need energy. Also, a lot of places on the planet still don't have electricity when they need it for basic reasons like water filtration and light.
Now that's a problem that we have to solve. Good.
And by the way, on top of all that, the number one way that we're getting our energy for these devices is destroying our planet, our number one resource. People can't afford energy, and it costs a lot. There's so many problems with it, so why can't we just make it more simple? Our world needs a low-cost...
Welcome to Earth. Would you like an introductory class? Look, theoretically you're older than me, but that doesn't mean I don't get to debunk you.
Efficient energy source that won't run out and that is affordable. So I began to study alternative energy resources.
Yeah, so we are. So are we. But the problem is, the problem isn't just finding a better source, it's scalability. Right now, nuclear is our best bet because it's easy to scale and we already got the standards for it. You just get some nuclear material, fusion or fission generates heat to boil water, turn a turbine. There's a joke saying that all roads end in turbines.
I began to reach farther. What I set out to do is create a low-cost, limited energy source that had the potential to save our world from this core problem. You can see why I drive myself crazy. After finishing up a couple quantum physics books, I realized that everything in the universe has a frequency and vibration.
Yeah, it's called resonance. Congrats, you now know what that is.
That's right, people. Everything is just a frequency of energy.
Yes, my hand has its own resonance. That is resonance. Even this little guy has resonance. Look, when I just... The problem is it loses too much energy to keep going. This one, glass has resonance. This little fluorescent tube. And it's... Yeah, this little fluorescent tube has resonance. Actually, this guy has resonance. We can even hear it. Let me just bring my mic close. Okay, listen for it. And it's gonna get even louder if we put it in the fixture. Okay, now listen for it. Now listen to this. Okay, listen to this. You hear that? That is resonance. But that's mechanical resonance. He's probably talking about other types of resonance. You never know, there's so many types of resonance anyways. Pardon the light bulb up there, that's an incandescent, it gets hot.
All the energy in the universe is already here. It just needs to be transferred into a form in which you can use it.
Is he talking about the energy we put into the air? This would be the same thing as plugging in your outlet to your neighbor's wall.
After further research on quantum physics and mechanics, I discovered that we can receive waste energy in the form of electromagnetism.
Yeah. I think I know where this is going.
So I got straight to work. Of course. After 47 hours of straight working, I had finished the device. I had finished creating a device that takes waste electromagnetic energy from all around us and converts it into electrical. Here's how it works. You collect the energy on one side of the device, where it's then amplified.
This is where I'm starting to get tipped over. Amplify. You know what? Let's look at the word amplify. He said you take the energy and you amplify. Here's the thing. An amplifier, it takes an input, which is that side, uses an external supply as a reference. It uses an external supply to boost the voltage. If he says boost the voltage, I'm going to lose it.
Then polarized. The energy is then...
What? Polar what?
Integrated into opposite polar semiconductor. Magnetic energy from all around us and converts it into electrical. Here's how it works. You collect the energy on one side of the device, where it's then amplified, then polarized. The energy...
Amplified and polarized. So is he talking about amplifying the AC signal? He's just describing an analog amplifier. So he said polarized. A more understandable term would be rectified. So let's think of it this way. You have a noise source, right? It'd be equivalent to RF noise. You have a noise source, and then you have the amplifier. The problem is, an amplifier, it needs an external power supply. So if he says his solution to world energy crisis is to take energy from around us, which by the way we put into the air, and he says amplify, where do we get energy to amplify? It has to come from another source of energy, battery, or other stuff from the wall. That's energy we spend at a plant. You get what I'm saying? And then he polarizes it, which means rectify. Okay, so let's say we have a magical device that can amplify passively, which is impossible, by the way, electrically. And then we polarize it with a rectifier. What do you mean polarize with a rectifier? So yeah, we can change the AC to DC, but it's possible. But you need an active amplifier. There's no such thing as a passive electrical amplifier because the term of an amplifier is it takes an input signal. Let's take an audio amplifier. The left, ground, and right. Those are your input signal. It takes an external power supply like the 12 volt, 24 volt, and then boosts its current and power. Boosts its voltage and power. Voltage and current and power, sorry. Voltage times current equals power. So, that one needs an external voltage. His claims that it's passive. Passive. Seriously? Passive? How would that work, huh? You can't just uh, continue.
Energy is then integrated into opposite polar semiconductors.
Opposite polar semi. What now? What does semiconductors have to do with
We
this?
put a coil around between,
Coil around between.
and on each side the electromagnetic module will collect the energy. Voila! Free energy. Polar semiconductors, we put a coil around between, and on each side the electromagnetic module will collect the energy. Voila! Free.
If he's talking about a capacitor, you have two motors back to back. You connect them together. You put a supercapacitor, and then you spin it. You get free energy. No, you just unless you charge the supercapacitor, yes, it will go on for much longer. But that's the key word: much longer. It's not forever. It's not forever. There's a few flaws in his statement. First, he's talking about collecting the noise that surround us. We put that in the air. RF stations take an oscilloscope, put the FFT function, and then you'll see spikes between 88.7 and 108 megahertz, or 76 to 96 if you're living in Japan. But want to know why in that frequency range? Because those are radio stations. Those are by people. Those use nuclear plants or anything that uses the current things that he's trying to solve. He's trying to solve. I'm just saying there's a few flaws. And the amplify part already got me saying, where do you get energy to amplify energy? Continue.
Free energy. Now I use this energy that I made out of thin air, sort of, to charge batteries and other devices. Now, considering this was just a prototype, I was really happy. And I got to a point where my idols, such as Nikola Tesla, big fan by the way, have always reached for and dreamed of for our generation. So is all this just to pat myself on the back? No. If you remember back to the beginning of all this, it was all seeded because of a desire. A desire to be creative and curious, to make the world a better place, to reach into our future and bring it just a little bit closer to today. Does that sound that hard, people? Not to me! I believe that everybody in this room has the capacity to change the world. Just take this with a grain of salt. I'm 13 years old. That's right, 13. And I'm invented a device that can give a kid light in darkness so that he may choose to educate himself so that he has the opportunity to grow up and help more people.
I'm falling asleep because of this.
And maybe join us here on Nexus someday, right? Now, this is what I call the ripple effect. You can throw a pebble into a pond and watch the ripples cover the pond and from where the ripple started and cover a much greater area.
But the problem is, depending on how big the pond is, there is a point where the ripple has just became too small to count anything. Let's say you have a very long pool that is still for whatever reason. You touch the end, yeah, it ripples, but that ripple only has a point before it can't go anymore.
Yeah, than just the size of one tiny pebble. Now I believe that I was put here for a reason. I have a feeling that there are also other people who are, put here for a reason. And I have a weird feeling that a lot of them are in this room today. I mean, am I alone? Does anybody else feel like they're put here for a reason? Can I get a show of hands, maybe? Awesome! So let's create some ripples, people. It has been a burden of mine to change the world. Almost like responsibility. It's my purpose. This burden or responsibility to change the world usually falls on the shoulders of few entrepreneurs. Now, I cannot think of a larger concentration of entrepreneurs than in this room right now. So imagine if everybody in this room here at Nexus, imagine what the world would be like if everybody tried to make the world a better place. Every single one. Did everything they can. We could all go our separate ways. One person goes this way. Maybe this way over here. I don't know, maybe he walks off stage and leaves the auditorium or something. But what if we worked together to make an impact or multiple impacts or ripples? If you don't mind working with a 13-year-old who still has synopsises filing in random direction and works out of a boiler room in his parents' basement, then we together have the power to change this world for the better.
You can't want better for the world if you're lying. Last time I checked, they said they were gonna make this into a product you can buy. It's 2026 now. Max, where's the product? I'm willing to bet it's not there yet.
To reach in the future and bring it just a little bit closer to today. That's right. Reach in.
Yeah, it's called time. Every single second, even me talking, we are getting close to the future. Though I know what he's talking about, advancement. That was just a cheap joke.
Reach into it, bring it a tiny bit closer to today. I mean, that's what Nexus is all about, right? Am I right? So if you can take anything away from this talk, wrap up any questions or loose ends, take away this. I'm 13 years old.
One loose end is you said, okay, he did say he might stutter, but he spoke confidently. He said, you take the energy and you amplify. Even if he made a mistake, he still has to amplify something. You take an energy, you amplify it. That simple. If he did make a mistake, then what could he be possibly referring to? We just used the raw energy and not enough for a rectifier? We need to boost that energy, but he said do it passively, even though amplifiers are active. Look, I have explained it many times. I will explain it again. An amplifier is a device that takes an input, uses an external voltage to boost that input into what we call an output. So where's the external voltage in his case? He didn't mention anything. His device claims free energy, but how can you get free energy if it requires a battery?
I've started my journey to make a positive impact on this world. Now, if a scrawny 13-year-old such as myself can stand up on stage and try and make an impact, then why can't we all together and watch how far the ripples we created at Nexus travel? Thank you. I'm Max Loughan.
Whoops, my fluorescent fell. That's enough brain damage for today. So, wrap up a few pointers. This device takes an input from a wire, amplifies that energy, and polar semiconductors. He said amplify, and that's where I really got triggered. Amplify. Amplify what? Yeah, you're gonna amplify the input taken from the air, but do you want to know what that is? That's not a free energy device. That's a glorified modulator. Modulator. You're turning the put a speaker in the output and you're gonna hear a noise, assuming you're using an active amplifier. You need an input on an 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 amplifier.